Okay. Yeah, interesting topic. Some people might not be interested. Wow, I've been out shooting all day today, and I am exhausted. Might not be interested in infrared photography. However, it is a lot of fun. Like with all my Nikons, certain cameras have, they all have infrared pass filters. Now, it's called a filter and not a block, which means that it does obviously let some through. This is actually an R72 filter, Hoya. Kind of expensive, not too bad for a 52mm. The Fuji XT1 is actually more sensitive on infrared photography than any Nikon I've ever tested, and I've tested a lot of them. And additionally so, at any aperture up until about f11 on a bright sunny day, I can actually focus the lens and actually check focus peaking. Normally with a lens like this, since it doesn't have a very long throw between, minimum focus and infinity, if I point it out somewhere, all I have to do is just keep it like a hair underneath infinity, and most things will be in focus anyway. But I actually can check the back of the camera or through the viewfinder and use focus peaking, since it's going to be in manual focus mode with a Metabones adapter, which I think anybody that doesn't have a Metabones adapter is an idiot anyway, because there's a lot of neat, cheap lenses. This is about a $200 lens used, by the way. This is a 24mm f2.8D, which is basically an equivalent of a 35mm field of view on a Fuji XT1 crop sensor. But I've got some shots below linked that I took today with the XT1. I'm actually just going to leave this filter on here. I've known now for some time that this would be my go-to infrared lens for Fuji photography. An issue with most lenses, especially older AI and AIS lenses, they have a hot spot issue, and that is that with the coatings, the infrared photography will look perfect except the center of the section will be a big white spot about 2.5 stops overexposed, and so it's not going to work. But this is one of the lenses that does work. The other one's a 35mm. But since this is a 35mm equivalent field of view on a Fuji crop, then this is a lens I'm going with all the time anyway, since most infrared photography is landscape sort of photography. Interestingly, I could never do this with Nikon or any other camera, is that at ISO 6400, at f2 or f2.8 out on a bright sunny day, I can actually walk around. And the notion of doing that, because this lens is darker than a well digger's butt at the bottom of a coal mine. I mean, you can't see nothing through it. I can walk around and handheld at 1/30th of a second. And since it's ISO invariant anyway, I can push it a couple stops on a computer. I can walk around and do infrared photography handheld. And that is amazing. The very notion of that, all infrared photography basically is tripod photography. Well, it's a 720 nanometer range. Now, obviously, there are filters, infrared pass filters at 590 nanometers and other infrared frequencies that you can do handheld, but at 720, which is easy greasy infrared photography, the notion I could do that handheld is rather shocking. Those other infrared filters let in a certain amount of regular light, and they basically kind of look like a dark red filter, but they still let a lot more light than this one does. So, but know that you just can't pop a lens. You need to test whatever lens it is you plan on testing on your Fuji. And also, additionally so, I'd want to use a Nikkor lens instead of Fuji's lenses, since those are focused by wire. This is an actual true mechanical focus. Wherever I set it at is where it's at. With Fuji, it is focused by wire, and most of the Fuji lenses do have hot spots in them for infrared photography, and so that's why it's no bueno to consider that for Fuji. And also, you would not want to buy an expensive filter. Again, these filters are expensive for a lens that's never going to let you do infrared photography, because it's going to have a big white hot spot in the middle of it. So you have to know ahead of time what damn lens is going to let you do infrared photography. So That's that. I'm exhausted because I've been shooting all day. Oh my god, you mean I don't just sit in the house? I actually go out and take pictures? Yeah, go figure that. Okay.